Hey people, welcome to the channel, and in this case, the video is about a question that is quite simple. Can Europe actually defend itself? Before we go on, remember that if you want to learn more about what we do here, which is survival and preparedness, you have a ton of content in the channel already, analyzing a ton of different situations, what's happening all over the world right now, how you need to prepare, how you need to get ready for all of this. Well, the channel, and of course my books, Survival Skills and Surviving the Economic Collapse. If you prefer the Spanish version, you have Sobrevivir al Colapso Económico. I try to do that Brandon Fraser voice, but I never get it quite right. And of course the French version. All books are doing very, very well. Thank you guys for buying them and for leaving the reviews. If you haven't left the review already, really appreciate that, especially given that I'm not backed by any big publishing that they usually pay for these things before the book is even out. Yes, crazy, but that's how it goes. So yes, of course, Europe can defend itself. It has somewhat. I do this video reacting to something that I saw in my Spanish channel. Someone that was saying that Europe has. Someone within Europe saying, well, Europe does not have any weapons. We don't produce weapons. yeah, you do. But it is true. See, he was saying something about why is U.S. so fixated on NATO spending? Oh, because you need to do your part. Well, a lot of that is really simply a matter of economics. The more you spend on weapons, the more likely you are to buy weapons from, the largest maker of weapons in the world, which is not Europe. It is this guy right there. Yes, it is the good old US of A. Over 50% of the production of weapons in the world. If you end up buying for 5% of your GDP in weapons, there's a good chance that even locally you don't have enough to spend that. You will have to go buy from someone else. And you can be a little bit more, wise ass about it and not buy it from the United States, especially now given the context in which you are. But there's a good chance that your NATO ally, your greatest NATO ally, I go and buy from the United States. A lot of these planes, the F-35, were being bought right now from European countries. And these guys are super happy about that. It is $100 million each. 100, 107, 120. Is it going for a little bit of a discount right now? I don't know. But it is this reason why the United States pushes so much with NATO spending. Not because we really are worried about you defending yourself. No, we want you to buy weapons, dude. And it's understandable. I get it. I would do it as well. Now, the scenario has changed quite a bit. Now, the United States is no longer allied with Europe in its defense. The NATO alliance is pretty much done for. And I will agree that it should always have been like that. It should always have been the case that Europe looks after Europe, United States looks after itself, and America first is something that honestly, without even being a damn American, I do believe that's the way to go. I think that's United States first, America first, Argentina first, Europe. Each one should look after themselves. And this goes for immigration. This works for trade deals as well, and how you negotiate these things, alliances that you build, and of course, the military. So I'm not saying anything that you don't agree with. I think everyone should look after themselves. This is also a part of why you have these things that you see around me. You should be able to defend yourself as a person, as a household, as a family, as a country, as maybe even a continent or union of countries that have the same interests. I'm not saying anything weird, am I? I think it's pretty common sense. But the big question is, well, how can Europe do this? It's a bunch of sissies that don't have any freedom of expression and only worry about gender agenda. That was actually United States up until a couple weeks ago. Let's make that perfectly clear. But you have a lot of that woke mental poison in Europe, of course. But you also have, a lot of weapons being made in Europe too. Let's go into that. So, the world's largest arms exporters. First of all, of course, United States, 42% of the share. Then, something I mentioned many times before, France. That is kind of par there with Russia. That is just France alone. France has nuclear weapons. France has a very important military industry. They do everything. Everything you need to fight a war, France already produces. And France has always been, especially since World War II, has always looked at the United States as, we're allies, right? It was always, the French always have been a little bit like that with the United States. Other countries like Germany have had this trauma of, no, we cannot go back to our old ways. Dude, actually, maybe you could just a little bit and take back a little bit of control of your own safety, your own country, and maybe help out with the rest of the continent. Then you have Italy, and then you have United Kingdom, and then you have Spain. Each of these have actually, Germany produces the best tank in the world. What is it? The Panther, is it? These four together produce the Eurofighter, which is what the worst, most European fighter. Well, actually, Eurofighter is not a bad plane. Actually, I was watching a video of an exercise in which this was all within the NATO alliance, so they fought, in an exercise. American with a F-35 Lightning and a German guy with a Eurofighter. They meet at certain coordinates and they fight. And the Eurofighter won. Why? Because the Eurofighter is a plane specifically intended for dog fighting. You know what you see like in Top Gun? Well, that is specifically what the Eurofighter apparently was intended for, and it actually seems to be good at it, because it also happened in other exercises. I think in Alaska. I don't know exact all of the details, but it was against F-35, F-22, and the Eurofighter in dogfighting actually has a good chance of ending up on top. Now, you're talking about 5th generation jets versus 4th generation jets, and the 5th generation jets should blow you down out of the sky before you even realize it. So there's a difference between the dogfighting thing you see in Top Gun and the stealthy thing of, you don't even see me, but I drop a missile on you, and all right. Now, it also has to be said that the Eurofighter is being upgraded to 4.5, I saw it described as technology. So improving on the stealth aspect, improving on the weapons. So you have that. This is a little bit of a contradiction, though, and I get it. It is the manufacturer of the freaking thing that wants to sell it. But this 5th generation being more aerodynamic, and what would be the advantage of that? In terms of what? In terms of stealth? Yes. In terms of dogfighting? Maybe not so much. Anyway, my point here is that, yeah, you do have planes. Actually, you have the Eurofighter. You have the Rafale, stylish Frenchy fighter, and then you have my favorite of the crowd, which is the Saab Gripen, made by Sweden. You have this video, look it up. No, I won't even bother with a link below. Don't be lazy. It is actually very cool what the Swedish have done with the Gripen. It is a plane that was intended to be very efficient in its manufacturing. It cost like 70 million against 100 million, so you can make these, and it's easier to produce. It is produced in a more efficient workshop kind of way. It is designed to be able to land in their own highways in Sweden. It can be the maintenance of the fighter is a lot more. It is a freaking interesting, awesome fighter. It would be like the Preppers version of a jet fighter. That would be the Gripen. Very cool. Anyway, Gripen, Eurofighter, Rafale. You have planes made in Europe. So can Europe defend itself? Yes. Now, have they increased the spending? Yes. So as to what? Favor the United States? No. Be smart about it and invest in your own industry instead. Right? But it was always easier to just say, Russia's gonna be cool. We're buying energy from them. Yeah, sure, he's a dictator, but who's not these days a little bit? So that's cool. But going back to this, UK produces a lot of weapons. UK produces a lot of weapons. Why is it? All right, so this is exporter. So France exports more weapons than United Kingdom, but United Kingdom sells more to itself. All right. Anyway, this is 2013. Okay, and this is more recent. Either way, you have the United States, you have France, you have Germany, you have Italy, you have United Kingdom, and you have Spain. Spain makes some very interesting naval weapons. There's this little frigate that has some missiles that are some of the top technology that they got, giving the NATO alliance. U.S. technology, I don't know exactly what it is, but they're selling some very nice little frigates. It's not a big plane carrier or anything like that, but you have production. You have production of all of this all over Europe. And one thing that you have to keep in mind is it's gonna be in general less likely to be overpriced corruption, lobbying, as we sometimes call that in US apparently. But a perfect example of this would be like it seems to not be as relevant, but the pistol contract for the US military, SIG P320. Corruption. You obviously ended up with a worse gun than what your special forces do, which is use the Glock. What is it that UK did? What is it that France did? They just bought the freaking Glock. Why? Because it's better. It is not a big deal, but it shows it shows the politics and the lobbying and the business side of how each of these countries spend their money when it comes to military spending. United States will have a lot of lobbying, a lot of overpricing, a lot of these things. And in these countries, it's, yeah, I just buy a fucking Glock because that's what makes sense. No, I don't make it, but it's made over there. It's just a handgun. I'm replacing my Browning high power. Yeah, I don't care. I buy it from Austria. They will sell me a few 100,000 Glocks or whatever amount I need. That's it. France, same thing. And yes, for the U.S. Special Forces and anyone that really wants to get a good gun, we go with a fucking Glock as well. That's just a small example of how this. But also, there's another twist to this, which is the way in which the world, and yes, the war is moving. Is, of course, if it had been the case that Ukraine had air superiority provided by the United States and by Europe, Trump is actually right. The war would not have even started. And if they had gotten their ass kicked right away when they first invaded, again, air superiority, no, you cannot even have anything. You cannot even take any town because we blow the crap out of everything that gets close here. This would not have even been a thing. A lot of lives would have been saved. The war would have ended before it even started. And Russia would have realized that, yeah, it is one thing to go and invade Georgia, and Moldova, and it is another thing to go after Ukraine and just think that you can rebuild the Soviet Union once again because you lost your little puppet in Ukraine and you want to have one just like you have in Belarus. No, you're not allowed to do that anymore, and you stop it right away. So this is a big deal, but it also is a case that we're moving more into this modern warfare where, yeah, sure, the F-35 or the Gripen or the Eurofighter, those are all great, but we're moving towards drones. We're moving towards, I screw you over with my $1,000 weapon. I have a $500 drone with a bomb attached to it, and I blow up your tank that costs $50 million. And oh boy, that is a pain in the ass. That is how you win these things apparently these days. I mean, I'm not an expert in warfare, but I do notice that there is a massive shift. And listening to people that are experts in their field, listen to people that are, the thing these guys fear the most is bzzz. That is the shit these days. That is the thing that freaks everyone out. Yeah, you're like, oh shit, am I going to blow up? And it's not only anti-personnel. What is it that Ukraine is asking for right now? Of course, yes, planes, they would have loved those things. But artillery, we need more. We need more ammunition, right? That's the way in which the war is moving. Would it be different if Russia actually goes and tries to take over Estonia or go up? Not Poland would not be the smartest thing, but some of these former Soviet countries. I think it would be a lot more of this plane fighting, missile long range striking scenario. Something that Ukraine, even when provided the weapons with the HIMARS and so on, were not allowed to do so because modified by software does not have that capability. That's the way I see it, guys. That's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, no problem with listening to your opinion, even you may have a different one or disagree with me, as long as you do it respectfully and you're not either insulting or just a freaking Russian shell. That's all going to be fine. Folks, see you next time. Take care.